All right, Stokastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMAC coming to you on a Sunday morning here. We've got lots of baseball. We have all of the lineups in. It's a front-loaded slate, only 2 games this afternoon, plus ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there. Shockingly, to no one. This is usually one of our more watched shows, whereas Mother's Day is one of our least watched shows of the spring. I wonder why that is. Matt, how are you doing? Happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you. As a husband and father, I understand completely why that is. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. It's a special day.
Indeed. So hitting on the weather here real quick, we don't have much to worry about. There are scattered showers in a variety of places, but it does not look like it's going to be enough coverage to knock out any of our pitching choices. A little bit of potential roving showers in Atlanta, where we're going to be looking to Grant Holmes. Same thing for the Nationals. With Mackenzie Gore, those look to be later in the afternoon if they occur at all over the stadium. So we should be okay from that standpoint. I think there was a little bit in Philadelphia as well with Zach Wheeler, but nothing that I'm taking out of the player pool, nothing that I'm blinking twice about. Any venue situations you want to cover before we jump into our pitchers here?
I don't think so. It looks like weather is fine as far as no really rain concerns, but not great hitting spots anywhere.
All right, then let's slide on in to the pitching discussion. There's a lot of choices here today. I've got the Talk Pitchers tool up here on the main screen. If you guys are following along on playback, I've got the OddsShopper Portfolio EV for baseball up there. But surprise start, Grant Holmes is replacing or going ahead of Chris Sale, who Atlanta decided to use in the tougher matchup against division rivals, the New York Mets, on Tuesday. So that is a pitching change there. Otherwise, we have, which adds him in at the top as an adequate value point per dollar play. He's not cheap, but he's definitely a tier below the Zach Wheeler, Mackenzie Gore, Max Fried trio. There's a little bit of interest here for Griffin Canning. I'm terrified of him. I ended up using him in my main lineup on Yahoo, but those are really your top pitcher choices here. So let's break her down. How you feeling about, well, I'll let you pick. Wheeler, Holmes, Gore. Who would you like to talk about first?
So I think Holmes is the guy we got to talk about first. And, man, I haven't been on him all year. It's not like he's been great. He's been better than his underlying suggests. But, man, it's difficult to look away from him today on this slate with expensive offenses I like. The other pitchers that we want to get to are very expensive. And he's sitting there under 8K against the Rockies at home. Now, we saw yesterday, Strider basically broke the slate. I mean, he didn't break it because there were other good pitchers, but you needed Strider. The night before, Elder was awful. So we've seen it go both ways. Holmes is much more in the Elder camp than the Strider camp. I mean, obviously, at least to me. But I do think he's better than Elder, and I'm more apt to play him than I was Elder. I hate the ownership. I haven't played him much this year. I'm expecting disaster, but, man, like, the price and matchup are just too good for me to ignore. So I am playing some Holmes here. And then my next favorite pitcher, I think the 10 to 11K guys all look pretty similar. For me, my favorite's Gore. He's priced in between Wheeler and Fried. I think he's in the best matchup at home against the Marlins. Amazing strikeout stuff. So I think my favorite pairing is Holmes and Gore, but I don't feel like crazy strong about that.
So that is where I landed as well. That is my my DraftKings main lineup. I am going to throw 150 into their little pocket cup challenge, but I'm just doing one lineup there because I don't want to have too many balls in the air on the show. He is he being Gore is an outstanding pitcher. His strikeouts are up this year. Miami doesn't have a lot of strikeouts against lefties, 20.7% on the season here, but they don't have a lot of power. just a 117 isolated power. So that's kind of a trade-off there. And below average runs 88 WRC plus, which means they score 12% less than league average against lefties. So that, for me, has Gore standing out. He has made a massive leap in his strikeout. I think he's up to like 12 per 9 innings, 12.6 per 9 innings here. That's tops in the league right now. That will probably come back a little bit, but he was a longtime top prospect there for San Diego, and he was brought over in the Juan Soto deal. I was looking at that. I had not realized that that's how the Nationals also ended up with James Wood, Matt. So they got Abrams, Wood, Mackenzie Gore, Robert Hassel as well, he'll be like a reserve outfielder, but he's up at
he was the highest of them all when the trade was made,
which is funny.
There's still another guy too that's looming in the minors.
Yarlin Susana is the other guy.
Okay, maybe
so that's how you restock a roster there.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the most lopsided deals that honestly baseball's ever seen for a half a season of Soto. I mean, Juan Soto is phenomenal, but it's just an insane haul. It really is. You imagine the Padres with that talent right now.
Oh, it would be crazy. It sort of balances out the tiny trades that really didn't amount to much for Trey Turner and
totally.
And
I mean, they lost a lot of talent. And if you want to talk about Bryce Harper and Turner,
Turner, Schwarber, Scherzer,
right? But they got basically the whole haul back just for Soto.
Yes. So I was reading up on that trade last night, so that was kind of fun. So that's where I stand on that one. You have Wheeler as the other key option there. Now, the thing about that is the Toronto Blue Jays strike out very low, like 17 or so percent, I think. I don't have their active lineup, but I can get that up here. But in any event, Wheeler, good strikeout pitcher. He is in the mix for National League Cy Young awards, the award this season. The active lineup for the Toronto has struck out 16.2% against righties over the last 2 seasons. So that it is basically the lowest in the league. On the flip side, in that same time frame, you have Wheeler striking out 29.6%, and this year it's better. It's the better of the last 2 years. He's up to 32%. So this is one of those where he is an apex predator pitcher. You kind of set aside that, hey, I'm worried about the matchup. There's not as much that you're nitpicking at that point. So I don't want to shy away from him. I built out my 7 FanDuel lineups. I ended up with, let me do the math, 3 Holmes, 2, 3 Gore, and 1 Wheeler was where I ended up on that. Gore is he's getting such an ROI boost because of the matchup and the offense backing him. And you called it out perfectly. It papers over do we see what happened to Bryce Elder? Do we see, the Spencer Strider outcome? Probably neither, somewhere in the middle. But point is, baseball can be baseball. And the thing with Holmes, he was drafted out of high school, first-round pick back in 2014. He didn't appear in a major league game until last year. Someone I see was saying Kenny Powers in the chat. Yeah, he's like the Crash Davis of pitchers. He meandered for almost a decade through the minors with 3 different organizations. So this is all about the matchup. And yes, this is the guy here who didn't play a lot of Spencer Strider yesterday. But that's okay. I got some other good pitchers. Was a losing day, though, Matt. Very, very sad. Very sad. As we slide down the rest of the list here, Griffin Canning, I've got him, as I mentioned on Yahoo, terrifies me. Just terrifies me because he has been Mr. Jekyll and Hyde. I always like to call him Griffin Tomato Canning, right? Because we want to go after him. That's been great. While he was with the Angels, he sort of shirked that moniker for a few starts this year, but he started to backslide. Still, the reason I played him on Yahoo is I think he's like $31 or $33, and it allowed you to basically get an Atlanta stack if you went with him along with Holmes. So I chose that path. But what are your thoughts on Canning? Is there anybody in the mid-tier that you would consider here?
Yeah, I don't hate Canning. I mean, he gets Tampa outside of their, minor league ballpark. They've been good recently. Canning is pretty hit or miss. His underlings aren't great. He's coming off a bad start where he was chalky. I don't think he's a bad option. He just doesn't stand out to me in any way. I think that the biggest case for going to Canning is as a pivot off of Holmes. Like if Holmes just isn't good, Canning doesn't have to be amazing. If he beats Holmes here, you're in a good spot. So I get that. I don't love it. I don't think he beats Holmes here, but he probably beats him more than the ownership is implying. Canning 10%, Holmes 50%. Yeah, if you're going to give me a ticket that, 5-1 odds on Canning over Grant freaking Holmes, I'm going to take Canning, but that's not how DFS works. So I think that that's the case to be made for Canning. Other than that, I think Kikuchi kind of stands out at 7,400 against this weak Baltimore lineup. He's been really good against lefties, and then the righties in this lineup aren't good. So it's kind of similar to the matchup he had last time out against the Athletics when they were running out just a putrid lineup, and they used their platoon guys, but their platoon guys are awful. So it's kind of a similar spot here. So I never feel great about Kikuchi, but he's not getting ownership and he's cheap. So I think I like Kikuchi more than Canning, but it's close for me. I don't love either of them. I probably won't play either of them.
This was a disaster of a Baltimore lineup that's out there. I mean, no Adley Rutschman. O'Hearn is injured, or I don't know if he's day-to-day with something. He didn't play yesterday. Gary Sanchez is going to be your punt capture on Yahoo and DraftKings. Ramon Urias, when he's batting in the 2-hole, it's going to be a wild day. Now, I always like when he is in there, or Jorge Mateo, because those guys aren't afraid to steal the base or get wild on the base path. So they're interesting. Obviously, Mateo's not in the lineup, but Urias is. That's interesting. But this year's numbers against lefties, even for guys like Ramon Laureano, Sanchez, they're all just bright red. There's not been a lot of production. If we look at their 2-year numbers, that levels out pretty significantly, and all of a sudden the top 5 guys are flashing power with Westberg, Urias, Henderson, Laureano, and Sanchez, but strikeouts as well, with 3 of them striking out well above, 4 of them striking out well above league average. So it's Kikuchi, yikes. What's the weather here? How hot is it? It's going to be around 70 degrees.
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy hot anywhere.
Yeah, nothing super humid. So it's an interesting one. That was the lineup really shook me when I saw that come out, because I kept getting them as I was building the single lineup sims. I'm like, why is it giving me Sanchez and Urias? And I'm like, oh, they're batting second. Westberg is leading off. This shouldn't be happening. Yet here we are. So Baltimore's kind of your cheapy stacks that are going to fit a lot of things here. Let's look at let's talk Aaron Civale for a second here. Man,
he's a big decision point for me. I did think about him a long time this morning, so I'm interested to hear what you have to say before I chime in.
Okay, so here was my thought is, I ended up writing up in the free Spotlight Pitchers Top Stacks article, I ended up writing up Texas as a contrarian stack. There's 4 or 5 stacks that are better than them, but Texas is kind of interesting. If you believe Texas is turning things around and is heating up, and they sort of are, but they have, that's a leap of faith to assume that Marcus Semion's going to continue doing as good as he's been over the last month. Corey Seager's just been dreadful all year. 2 different stints on the injured list. He's only played in 40 or 42 games, whatever it is. So he's a terrifying click. Josh Smith has been great this season as a leadoff hitter. Wyatt Langford's good. Adolis Garcia was the hero last night. He still has pretty bad numbers. I prefer Jake Berger at this point over Seager or Garcia, but it was more just differentiation plays. And that was before we got all this discounted stuff with Mark Conha although I should have expected him to be in for Kansas City, and then the Baltimore guys. So I was kind of leaning towards some of these guys here on Texas. On the flip side, the trade there. So for those guys that don't know, Civale said he didn't want to go into the bullpen because they just called up that starter. They've got Nestor Cortez is not that far away from returning to action for Milwaukee, etc. So it was looking like he was going to be the 5th or 6th starter, and he's like, yeah, I'm not going to pitch in the bullpen. I get that, right? He's been a starter for 7 years, whatever. But he hasn't been a great starter. And I was looking at his numbers up and down. The strikeouts aren't there.
You can't do that if you're Aaron Civale, but I'll
no,
get to that.
And they gave him the careful what you wish for trade. So he goes from a wild card contending team, if not outright North National League Central contending team, to the 2nd worst team in baseball. No chance of making the playoffs. They're all but mathematically eliminated at this point. And they sent $800,000 with him, and all they got back in return was Andrew Vaughn, who's in the minors, couldn't even really crack. I can't remember his injury situation, but he's been bad the last couple of years. He can't even crack this shitty lineup. They were like, all right, you're out of here. Wow. Life comes at you fast, Matt. So I knew we would be doing the show when I saw this. I'm like, okay, Matt got to follow along with Civale for a lot of time when he was with the Guardians. What is your take? Because he's a guy we roster in decent spots, and this could be a decent spot unless he's feeling sorry for himself because he got banished to the White Sox.
Yeah, I really see this going both ways. Like, it's hard for me to get a strong read on it. I think he's in play at 6K. I think the Ranger stack is in play. So for me, he's definitely not as good as he was during his time in Cleveland. I mean, he wasn't an ace in Cleveland, but he was a good starter. They managed to trade him for Kyle Manzardo probably at the only time they could do that deal. Like a couple months before that, Tampa's not doing that deal. A couple months after that, Tampa's not doing that deal. They just needed a starter right then, and Manzardo was kind of blocked. And Civale hasn't been good. I mean, Tampa let go of him pretty easily. Milwaukee, he hasn't really been good for Milwaukee. So he asks his way out, says he won't pitch in the bullpen. I think that's – I mean, I get it because he's paid and he wants to be a starter and get paid as a starter. But
yeah, and he's, to be fair, he is on a 1-year, $8 million contract. I think that was pointing that out. I should have thrown that out.
He's just not good enough to be making those demands, in my opinion. I mean, if he had been pitched better, he wouldn't have been demoted to the bullpen. So that's kind of just how I feel about that, but that's secondary. So as far as today goes, like, man, he's obviously going to have a chip on his shoulder, instead of, they just dealt him right away to the worst team in baseball, or one of the 3 worst teams in baseball. Chicago's already said that they're planning on trading him before the deadline. So we'll see what happens there. So clearly this is a guy that's going to be motivated, that has a chip on his shoulder. It's not an easy spot though. Texas has been good recently. And for me, the big thing and why I think I'm leaning towards not playing any of him, like, it's his first start with this team, these young catchers, this coaching. Like, I don't know. Like, I get it. I get using him, and I'm contemplating it. I might use him once, but I don't feel good about it at all. So, yeah, I mean, it's a price play thing. He's probably better than a 6K pitcher, but not like that much better. And there is blow up potential for him here too. So yeah, I'm looking at him. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to play him once or nonce, but it's an interesting talking point. I'll say that.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Let me get that lineup built there for myself. All right. So that kind of covers our pitching here. We're going to switch over to kind of doing game by game. Let's do a quick look at FanDuel. The reason we'll go game by game is there's varying degrees of stacks here, but there are some middling pitchers that we really probably aren't going to stack against, but we want to take some key hitters or some one-offs again. So we're going to do game by game. If we look at FanDuel, same 4 guys up the top. Oh, I guess we didn't really mention Max Fried. Specifically. So Fried going against Boston. Boston is the haves, have not line up there. Strikeouts on the back half, good hitters on the front half here. Is Fried going to make your cut? To me, he kind of just fell out on the wayside there.
I don't mind Fried, but I do like Gore better. I think Fried and Wheeler are close, but Wheeler's just a better strikeout pitcher. So give me Wheeler here. And the back half of Toronto's lineup looks pretty weak. So I don't know if I'll get to Fried, but I don't mind him. He's just not a priority for me.
Yep. So got the numbers up. So sorry, a little more strikeouts in the top of the lineup against with who's in it, with Ref Snyder up there and with Romy Gonzalez. Ref Snyder was, what did he have, like three hits to start off the game last night or something crazy like that against Rodon. So he's on a bit of a heater, but nothing to worry about there from the Bo Sox. Let's flip over to the top stacks tool here. I want to remind everybody that, of course, we have the Stokastic, or pardon me, the why see, I shouldn't be trying to drive and sell things at the same time. Free, so you can forgive me for this free 7-day trial with Portfolio EV. Link is in the YouTube description below us here. Also, if you guys want to not only use that, you can get 50% off if you go over and check out Greg Ehrenberg's tweet. He has put a promo code in his tweet to give you 50% off the Portfolio EV for a month. So I will put that into chat as well. But talking about our stacks here, what do you want to do with Atlanta? And is Ronald Acuna Jr. going to hit 1 or 2 home runs today?
Yeah, Atlanta looks like the top stack like yesterday. They're getting really owned, though. So, I don't know. It looks to me like almost anyone else you play is going to be contrarian. Not contrarian, but much lower owned than Atlanta. And I don't think Atlanta is in like such a smash spot where this ownership is deserved, especially in smaller field stuff where I think it's like double what we're showing here. But they are the best stack. If I were just, if ownership didn't matter, I think Atlanta would clearly be the top overall stack. There's just a lot to like about them, and they're not like crazy expensive. So yeah, if you want to prioritize Atlanta, I got no issue with that. I'm not sure I'm going to do that, but it's just an ownership thing for me. No other reason.
All right. If you are using the single lineup simulator, it is going to do everything it can to give you Bobby Witt Jr. and Ronald Acuna. So just note that. And the 7 lineups I built out, I think I have Acuna in 5 and Witt in 7, or probably 6. I had Neto was the only guy. The only time I didn't get him was with Neto. All right. So you mentioned the popularity there. Let's get this up. So 14% tournament representation. That feels light to me. I bet it ends up being higher than that, like closer to 20.
I agree.
Jeffrey Springs has said he's kind of been an up and down guy. Looked like a late bloomer with Tampa. Ended up hurting. I think it was, he ended up like with the elbow injury, and then I think he shredded his knee or something. He was just Mr. Unlucky at that point. Has a little bit of strikeout stuff, but now he's on the wrong side of 30 and can be had. The Athletics are just going to keep running him out every 5 days. That's all they want him for. It's all they want Severino for. So not all. And there was talk that they might put an opener in front of him. It doesn't look like they ended up doing that. New York going against Brian. Look out below. Look out below. What would you say to Aaron Judge, Rice, Jazz? All the usual guys.
Yeah, I think they're my favorite stack on the board. Ownership considered. They're expensive, so tough to prioritize them. But they got some cheap guys in the back half if you want to mess with them. Bayo's not good. His underlings aren't good. I think this is a really good spot for the Yankees, considering what else is on the slate. I like them a ton here. They're going to be like half as owned as the Braves because they're more expensive and not facing the Rockies. Give me the Yankees in that spot. To me, they look like the best stack on the board when you consider ownership. Dollar for dollar, give me Atlanta. And if ownership weren't a thing again, I would take Atlanta, but it is a thing. So I like the Yankees a lot here.
All right. That's 2 of our 3. Got all of our good pitchers are going at 135, or the popular pitchers. Washington and Miami. So that's where we've got Gore. So we're not really going to look at the Miami bats. But Yuri Perez is working his way back to full strength. He is going to be going against a tough Nationals lineup because they're running out every lefty they can find today. So James Wood, C.J. Abrams, Luis Garcia, that's your 2, 3, 4 hitters. Switch hitter Josh Bell is 5. Nate Lowe is 6. Robert Hassel, the third, is batting 7th, and they're dusting off Jose Pena. More as a ceremonial piece. Hey, you're a lefty. We're going to play you today in the 9-hole there. Do you want to attack Perez? Now, I will say this. In my DK cash game lineup, I ended up with both Abrams and Wood, but those are the two I like the most.
In cash?
Yeah.
I don't think those guys are cash game plays, but I don't.
So let me rephrase the cash game concept. I like to play sort of like a
I know you like to play a little bit differently, and those guys are really good players. So I get it. They're not bad plays. They're just not plays I think about when I think of cash game plays because I think they'll be low owned in those settings. But,
right, which means the audience needs to know where I'm willing to take on plays that I have more conviction in because this is baseball.
Totally.
Wouldn't be doing that in football. Wouldn't be doing that in basketball. But
it's just way less projectable. It's way less projectable. It makes a lot of sense. I like that. I think that's a smart way to do it. So I do like them, though. I like them in tournaments. I mean, I think I'm a fan of Perez. He's got really good stuff, but he's just finding his rhythm again. He's only made one start. The Marlins have an awful bullpen. I like the Nats as a stack here. I think that it's a boom or bust spot because I do think Perez is a good pitcher. Like he's got great stuff, like great elite stuff when he's on, but he's not going to pitch deep into this game and their bullpen stinks. And he's also like an unknown commodity at this moment. So if he's off and you get like bad Perez and then you get into that Marlins bullpen early, Washington could be the top stack on the board. So I get it. Makes sense to me.
How wild is this that even though he missed all of last year rehabbing from Tommy John surgery, he's still the youngest pitcher in the league? That's crazy. You're on mute.
Oh, yeah, I am on mute. Sorry about that. So that is wild. I was hearing that his last time out, man. It's just crazy because he's already seemed like he's had like a time in the majors and then a long injury and now back in the majors.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was 20 years old in 2023 when he made 19 starts, 10.6 strikeouts per 9, 1.5 home runs, 3 walks per 9, 3.1 ERA, a little better than his advanced metrics, but his advanced metrics indicate he should be just under a 4 ERA. So, I still want to attack him. Just it doesn't have enough laps under his belt. Plus, coming back from the injury, he's someone that looks to be. I don't know that ace is going to be the right word. A number 2 starter seems very much within his grasp. Still, just wild that he's the youngest pitcher. That's crazy. Let's see. Do you want to go against Jose Barrios for our other 135 game here?
I don't think Philly's a bad stack, but they don't really stand out at all. I mean, they're really expensive. Barrios is good enough, like lefty power against Barrios, sure, but it's kind of what we talked about yesterday. No Harper is big. So I like Max Kepler at 3,300. He's one of my favorite one-offs on the slate, but I don't think I'm going to full stack Philly here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'd rather stack Washington, and they're like basically the same price. So at some point, you got to cut teams off.
Indeed. I guess we have one more 135 game, LA and Baltimore. So now we got a little bit more to unpack here. So Matt mentioned the positives here for Yusei Kikuchi against a watered down Baltimore lineup filled with struggling players at this point. They still have a decent enough track record. The top half of the lineup looks good. It's relatively cheap. We didn't talk about the Angels, who are going to be facing, I'm blanking on the Cade Povich. There's a right-handed opener, Scott Blewett, who's going to come in, probably be good for 1 inning, maybe a little bit into a second inning, depending on how efficient he is. But Zach Neto looks great. Trout looks great. Ward looks great. Maybe Nolan Shaniel pokes one against the righty before he has to go into a lefty-lefty matchup. He survives on contact anyway. He's not as much of a power hitter for a first baseman, but where do you want to go with the Angels? Because the top of the lineup looks pretty good. And if not for Gary Sanchez being the cheap catcher, Travis d'Arnaud would have been the cheap catcher of the day.
Yeah, so I like the Orioles here, but I don't love them because their lineup stinks, but it's cheap. Big thing that hurts the Orioles here is the first 2 hitters in their lineup are only third base eligible on DK. Like that stinks. So you could go 2 through 6 or a wraparound or whatever, but you can't get 1 and 2 together. Not ideal. Ways around it, sure. It's just a weak lineup thing for me. Pinch hit risk all over here. I like Baltimore. I don't love them. And I do like the Angels here. I don't love that Baltimore starting with an opener, but it's not like Blewett's a guy we're afraid of. And then Povich, he strikes guys out, but he gets hit. So the Angels here in play for me for sure. They look like one of the better stacks that's not getting a ton of love. They're expensive, so you gotta like concede somewhere. And I do like the Yankees more, but I mean, the Angels I think look like right on that next tier. So really good plays here.
All right. Keeping our stuff moving. We got the 140 game. Tampa and New York. So I mentioned that I'm going with Griffin Canning. That's more of a price play for me on my Yahoo lineup. Will not play him on FanDuel at all. Doubt I will get much on DraftKings when I run the 150, but I'll do that shortly. Josh Lowe struggling a little bit. Josh Lau struggling a little bit there at the top. Sorry, no, I got that right the first time. Josh Lowe struggling. Brandon Lau playing very well. He is just crushing this season. 223 ISO against righties. Junior Caminero, very, very good. Jonathan Aranda, very, very good. Starts to fall off after that. Get a little love with rookie Cameron Miser, who's the late bloomer. There's a lot of holes there with another late blooming rookie, Jake Mangum. Jose Caballero is much better against lefties. I'm right now building out a couple hedge stacks on FanDuel against Canning. That's all I gotta say. He's neutral enough that I'll play him, but I'm nervous, so I'm doing the both sidesers with him.
That makes sense. I think Tampa's in the middle of the road stack here.
That's really the top 4 guys.
Yeah,
that's all you can go with. So.
Yeah, totally. I don't love Canning, but it just isn't the spot that I'm like dying to get to Tampa in. Ballpark downgrade for them big time. So, yeah, no big interest here for me in this game. The Mets I like, but they're really expensive. So it's just a matter of do I like them more than like the Yankees, et cetera, and probably not.
All right, let's see here. Let me get rid of that. I'm going to put in a Mackenzie Gore lineup and complete that. We're on to the 2 o'clock game. So a fun 2 o'clock slate. I wish there were larger contests for this because it's Father's Day. A lot of the teams have pushed things up. So there is only the 2 late games plus Sunday Night Baseball instead of the usual 4 to 5. We've got, let's see, sorry, too many windows open. Kansas City is hosting Atlanta. Talked a little bit about how Springs looked like he was going to be a decent pitcher. Injuries just extinguished that hope. This year, the Kansas City Royals have struggled against lefties. But at the top, you've got Miguel Garcia, Bobby Witt, who are both very, very strong. Sal Perez has had a long history of being a lefty masher, but he has almost no power against lefties. Barcana was longtime platoon guy as well. No power against lefties this year. I'm still Kana is so cheap. He's coming in on a lot of lineups. He ended up being in my DK and my Yahoo lineup. Bobby Witt, just phenomenal everywhere here. And this is one where I don't think they're going to be like pitching around Witt per se, right, to get to the other guys. It doesn't feel like it's that kind of spot. So I think Witt should see decent pitches to hit here. So that makes me happy and excited to have him on my teams. But this doesn't feel like a great stacking spot. This is like your secondary stack because I really see like 2.5 guys and it's Garcia and Witt, and then Conha if he's cheap, or Sal Perez if you want to play him at catcher. That's it for me.
Yeah, it's the same story for KC for me. Like, they're super cheap, so they're going to get a ton of ownership. They're just not a team with a lot of power and speed. So I'm good when they're getting this much love. That said, it is a good matchup. Springs has been okay his past 2 starts, but not having a great year altogether. Does give up power. I think KC is in play here. I wish they were lower owned. They're always more owned than they should be, considering their price tags on DK. So that hurts them big time in my eyes. But to your point, like, I think those individual pieces look very good just individually.
Turning around to the Athletics, they get to go against Noah Cameron. Let's see, how many starts does Cameron have? So he's a rookie here. He was the top 3 prospect. I think he was their top pitching prospect, just inside the top 90 on most industry lists here. Let's see. He has made 6 starts, 37 innings. Does not project to be a high strikeout guy. He will be better than his 6 per 9 rate, but he still plateaus. Maybe a good year he's going to have 8 per 9. He does a decent job of getting ground balls, which is helpful. But otherwise, he is, an adequate arm, decent prospect, but not a true frontline starter here. Do you want to stack Oakland, the Athletics against the West Sacramento? Damn you guys. Just accept the new city's name. Come on.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Well, they don't even have a new city yet, is the point. Is it the Las Vegas Athletics? Right
Live
now,
in the now. Live in the now.
The West Sacramento Athletics. They look good to me. They don't look amazing. I mean, anytime Austin wins as your cleanup hitter, what are we doing here? What are we doing? That said, catcher hitting cleanup. The stack does set up well against left-handed pitching. They got some cheap pieces. I'm fine with it. I don't love it. I'm not dying to get there, but I don't hate it. And they're not going to be owned. They're one of the lowest owned teams on the entire slate. So coming in with nice leverage, just middle of the road. They look good. Not great to me.
All right. 5 more games because it's that kind of a day today. Hit the like button as we go through our slog here. You guys can also join the Stokastic Hall of Fame. Nightbot has been dropping that into chat. That's a fun little promo that we have here. All you got to do is have the Stokastic avatar. You can download it here. One of these nifty options. Download that, upload that to your DFS site of choice. And then if you finish top 3 in any tournament with at least 5,000 entries, that's first, second, or third, not like a 5-way tie for first, but first, second, or third, you get, if you tweet a screenshot with that Stokastic avatar in it to Stokastic HOF on Twitter, we will, 1, induct you to the Hall of Fame. Lofty will do that. And then 2, you will get a free month of single sport sims, your choice. Rules are all here. I will drop this in as well, just because Nightbot has been putting it in there, but I will put that in there too. But that is the Stokastic Hall of Fame. Milwaukee and St. Louis. Middling Miles Michaelis on the mound for the Redbirds. On the other side, we have the meandering Quinn Priester. Does Priester have a prayer against the Cardinals? There's a lot of religious in there. Cardinals, Priester,
yeah.
Prayer. See what I did there?
Knew the dad jokes would just be flowing today. So.
In honor, if I had kids, my dad jokes would be the most powerful force in the universe.
Something like that. Milwaukee looks good here. Michaelis, not good. Doesn't miss bats. Milwaukee's high in the top stack tool. They're right behind the Angels. They're right in between the Angels and Texas. I don't think they look as good as teams like the Braves or the Yankees, but outside of those teams, I think a lot of teams are lumped together, and Milwaukee's in that next group. So totally good with the Milwaukee stack. Not my priority, I've already talked about how much I like the Yankees, and there's another stack we'll get to that I like a lot for a couple reasons. It's not Milwaukee, but I do like them here.
So, yeah, that was essentially my assessment. They're not super popping up there, but I'm accepting the top half of each of these lineups. I did build out a specific for my FanDuel. I did build out a specific Cardinals lineup because I really like Herrera, and I wanted to make sure I got him in at least a couple of my lineups for the 150, surrounded by a stack. Most of those were built around the top three. I was excluding Wilson Contreras, and then I did one with Gorman and one with Arenado, just to get a little variety in there. Let's see. Houston. All right. So good pitchers yesterday, not great pitchers today. Brandon Walter going for Houston. You have Simeon Woods Richardson going for the Twins. I thought they might put an opener in front of SWR. It does not look like they're going to. Sort of another situation where I don't like either hitter. I think Buxton was scratched. Let's see if we got that new lineup.
He was.
That takes away from Minnesota for sure. Oh, Ryan Jeffers now leading off. He's a good hitter anyway, but that really weakens the Twins lineup here because the back half is just a hot mess. And then their best guys are lefties, so only Wallner is in the lineup today, no Larnack, etc. Do you see anything of value from these guys outside of a 2:00 slate, 5-team contest?
So no to the pitchers. I think the offenses are in play. I mean, Walter's been good, but this Twins lineup is cheap, especially now without Buxton. You can use pieces of it. Woods Richardson stinks. You wish Houston had more lefties. They don't. These teams look good, not great. Although Minnesota has really bumped up in the top stack tool. Maybe it's because of how cheap they are now. They now have the third highest chance of being the top value stack on the slate. And they're not getting a lot of ownership. So, yeah, Twins I like more than the Astros, but I don't hate either side. My biggest problem with the Astros is that if this game is close, the Twins still have an elite bullpen. Haven't seen it recently because they've been getting smoked in large deficits, but in close games, they have an elite bullpen. So not anxious to go up against that. I'd rather go to the Twins side, and I do like them here.
All right, let's finish this up. I will run a Sims. We can talk home runs. Let's finish our last two. Chicago and Pittsburgh. This is the rare. I'm not really excited about Chicago. So many other teams here. Mitch Keller, adequate real-life pitcher. Not so much for DFS. Doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. You don't want to tangle with the Chicago side here, but I'm not doing cartwheels for Chicago. They're a little spendy. On the Pittsburgh side, it's Pittsburgh. O'Neal Cruz, Brian Reynolds, always in play. Spencer Horwitz is okay. Colin Ray is like a batting practice pitcher, but he never really truly gets put on fire. This is kind of a stay away spot for me. Just by default, there being other better one-offs jumping out from the Nationals, from Kansas City, etc.
And the weather. So the weather is really good pitching weather here. I'm off the offenses here. The pitchers don't stand out to me, but more or less a cross-off spot. If anything, it's the Cubs, because the Cubs have proven time and time again they can get there in not ideal hitting weather. It's not like it's snowing there, just winds blowing in. But they're really expensive. So it's like, at that point, am I really trying to, blow my hypothetical wad on Kyle Tucker and them at like 6K plus when there's just other guys like Acuna and Judge I like more.
All right. To see that happen in real time, follow Matt Fantasy, just the tips, Matt, on OnlyFans.
I said hypothetically. So,
all right. Kicking off the Sims here for FanDuel. We've got Kumar Rocker as the last guy to talk about. He's going.
I was surprised you didn't mention him earlier when we talked about.
He should be like a 100-mile-an-hour throwing reliever, I think. I don't think it's good. How many times was he drafted? Like 2 or 3 times? I can't get behind it, even with the White Sox being the opposition here.
Yeah, so I think Rocker is interesting at 6,300 because he's got high strikeout stuff, and at least he's shown that in the minors, and it's the White Sox. But I'm gonna flip the script here. I like the White Sox a lot in this spot. Talked about them yesterday against DeGrom as like one-off pieces, just because I think they were too cheap for their talent, and they are insanely cheap today. So I love seeing this. They're higher in the top stack tool than they normally are. They're usually at the bottom. Today they're in the middle, 3.5% chance of being the top stack on the board. Same exact as basically the same exact as Washington and Houston. Okay. Ownership is 4%. So the same as those other teams, but they also have a 16% chance of being the top value stack on the board. So you can get good pitching with them. You get good lineups around them. The Braves, the Yankees, as I talked about earlier, they got cheap guys up and down this lineup, and Luis Robert being scratched. Oh no. That makes me like this lineup more. He stinks. I never want to play him. Certainly he's got stolen base upside, and if he can ever hit, power upside. But now this lineup is just crazy cheap. They can run a little bit. They've got some power. Miguel Vargas having a really good year. They've got 2 cheap catchers in Teal and Caro. I mean, probably hyping myself too much on the White Sox, but they were close yesterday to getting there. Not like breaking the slate, but putting up more runs against DeGrom in that bullpen. Now you get Kumar Rocker in this bullpen. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if Rocker goes out there and dominates like he did that one start against the Angels, because it is, at the end of the day, the White Sox, and they're not good. But they've been a lot better against righties like the last month or so, adding Tauschman, et cetera, to this lineup. I like the White Sox a lot here, just considering their ownership and their price tags. So, yeah, White Sox.
So, yeah, and I had kind of had a hunch that you were going to go that route, and I'm not against it. I ended up watching / listening to a lot of that game last night because I wanted to see how DeGrom was going to do. And they were talking a ton about the, like Meadroth and a couple of the other younger talented players. And I started thinking, I'm like, dude, not that we want to go nuts for them in DFS, but to your point, getting Tauchman in there, a few others, it's not a horrible situation. I mean, it's far from good, but against a bad pitcher, well, an unproven pitcher, an inconsistent pitcher, whatever we want to say about it.
He might be bad. I mean, he might be bad. We don't know he's bad, but he might be. And it's not like they're getting any ownership. So it's a combination of things here. Certainly, they're not a good lineup. And if you play the White Sox every day, you're not going to do well. But I don't play them every day. I'm picking my spot.
Right. And that I think is another good call out just for that 2:00 sub slate, because it is a larger one today. That's kind of a fun spot to go with the White Sox, because they're not going to be popular, and that's more of the time you would want to take a chance on them, I think.
Well, they're never going to be popular. They're mostly never going to be popular on big slates like this. But if there was a day where they should be more popular, it's today. I mean, Rocker stinks, and they're really cheap. So I think it's just a combination of just there aren't like crazy expensive offenses that people are prioritizing why they're not getting to the White Sox, but I am.
All right. I minimized the window, so it kind of screwed up my sim here. That was weird. So I'm rerunning that. Recap the top pitchers for us. What is your final ranking of the core 4?
So my order of pitchers goes Gore, Wheeler, Fried, Holmes. Okay. But I'm playing some Holmes. I don't like it. Haven't played him at all this year. We know how that goes. But he's been fine. He's too cheap. It's the Rockies, so it is what it is.
All right, let's see what I've got here. So Grant Holmes coming in on 76% of my FanDuel 150. I think that's a little bit high. We're going to cap him at 50. I'm going to make Wheeler, Fried, and Gore the next guys. The key thing, so what I'm doing here is going to go to the ROI boost. So all this is doing is just changing the sort order of giving a boost in the ROI category to whichever players I give this to. So I have Wheeler. I wanted him at 20. I got him at 20. Fried, I'm going to give a couple clicks to, and Gore, I'm going to give a couple clicks to bring them up and see if I can get them capped out at around that 20 as well. That's the only real changes I'm going to make. I'll look and see where the well, let's give a little bit more to Wheeler. Let's take. Oh, I see what I did wrong. Now I'm on the exposure side, not the ROI boost. But let's take Holmes down just one click. And then we'll go to the ROI boost here. All right, that looks decent enough. We're going to give one more click to each of these guys. And then what I want to see here, and I built out, I think I did 11 or 12 lineups. Let's go top 150, ROI boost. Stack boosts, a lot of Baltimore, bunch of Milwaukee, ton of Kansas City. I'm okay with all of that because I built out some of my own lineups. So I will download those from the single lineup sim. Where are you coming in with your stacks? Did you decide upon your 4 or 5 stacks?
Yeah, so the Yankees are my favorite stack. Nothing's changed there. I also obviously like the Braves. So Yankees, Braves, and then I'll say that the Angels are my third favorite. But I think after the Yankees and Braves, it's pretty murky. A lot of teams look good.
All right. I built out 12 lineups, so I'm going to unfavorite these. I'm going to favorite 138. Download those, and then I will build out some DraftKings because I entered that 150 max pocket cup. I have 1 ticket, but you can get up to 3. I would like to get another ticket. That would be fun. Let's upload these. All right. So FanDuel is done. Now we are going into the contest generator, choosing DraftKings, building out for 5,000, changing the exposure stacks. Now, Greg, and I agree with it, they like to get a lot of 5-man stacks. I do mine a little differently, especially on days like today. But the math does say 5-man stacks are the way to go on DraftKings to maximize everything that you're doing. But why doesn't it like that? But you have to remember that the long-term time horizon is a season, 2 seasons. It's a lot. And that's even when we're considering we get a good 200, 250 slates with all the, late slate, morning slate, travel days, etc. It takes a long time to realize your ROI. But when you win, you want to win big. And I agree with their approach, but I don't play those super top-heavy contests for the most part. So in these situations, I tend to be a little more conservative than they are. All right, but no one is as conservative as Matt, who handcrafts, cultivates, loves, waters, nurtures his little DFS lineups like they're his children each day. And then he sends them off into the world. The cold.
Definitely wouldn't say I'm conservative, but that's one way to put it.
Uh-oh. Why did my FanDuel lineup not upload? That could be a problem. All right, let's do home runs, or as some would call those, dong of the day. Dong of the day. It's the dong of the day.
Oh, God. My ears hurt. Give me a second. I'm going to go with a really easy one and then a really obsolete one. So Aaron Judge is going yard today. I just have to say that. I'm not calling him for my pick, but these two going to go together. The guy that's going yard with him is Ryan Noda from the White Sox.
Ooh. Wow. Okay. That would be as some say a deep cut. Deep cut. That is a crazy. Oh, I see what I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe that will fix my FanDuel issue. I really. Why am I? Ronald Acuna Jr. I like. I'm going to go lefty with Matt Olson today against Austin Gomber. It's not a deep cut, but I like it. Let me see here. Okay, fixed FanDuel. Now let's launch DraftKings. DraftKings simulating the lineups, going to build out 149 because I'll just put my cash game lineup into this contest for the fun of it. What was your final lineup tally, Matt?
Oh, plan 4 today.
The core 4.
Core 4, yeah. Speaking of core 4 and that, how about that Desmond Bain deal? Did you see it?
Yeah, Nico Harris just needs to just ride off into the sunset.
Well, he's not who?
The Dallas GM who got dick for Doncic.
What does that have to do with?
Because if they're giving up that much for Bain, how did he get so little for Doncic?
Yeah, I get that. Okay,
transitive properties, all of that. Those were the first tweets I saw was Nico Harris trending this morning. So, but yeah, that's 4 unprotected pick swaps is first round pick swaps is pretty good price.
I like Bain on Orlando though. Like he's a good fit for them. He's shooting. They need. I like the cut ahead. Like Orlando's good.
How many years has KCP been in the league?
I'm gonna say close to 10 at this point.
I think it's more than that.
It might be. I mean, he was on Detroit for it might be maybe like 12 years because he was on Detroit for 5 or 6 years. The Lakers, Denver, and now Orlando. I'm gonna say 12.
Yeah, he was out there in the early days of DFS. 2013 was so 12 years in the league.
Yeah, when he was on Detroit, he was never a great DFS player. Even then, when he was just never was.
Did I just blank on the year that he played for the Wizards?
KCP on the Wizards.
I can't believe I had abandoned the Wizards by that point. He played 1 year there. Yeah, he was. I remember.
Yeah, he got traded to Denver for Monte Morris.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, he did play for Washington for 1 year. It's a good call.
What do you think? 76% of homes? That's probably a bit much.
He's just not a pitcher I ever want to get that much of, but it is what it is, I guess.
All right, we're going to do the old go with God here on favorite. Redo favorite custom amount 149. Download. Get that in the template and upload. We got 7 minutes until lock. So quick thoughts on the late slate tonight. The pitchers on both sites, DraftKings and FanDuel scoring formats, they're separated by 2 points on DraftKings, and I think it was 4 points on FanDuel. What that means is throw a bunch of confetti in the air and see where it comes down, because this is going to be, you have to treat the late slate like a tournament slate. Now, the contests, I thought they were going to be a little bit bigger, but they ended up not running out other iterations or secondary contests, which I was sad about because I thought for Father's Day they might, boost this a little bit. But don't be afraid of taking a hitter or two against your pitcher on DraftKings. Nobody's throwing a no-hitter today. And you got Merrill Kelly, who struggled a little bit, may have turned things around, but he's going against the Padres. Padres have Pivetta out there. Arizona has the best implied run total, but it's not that great. You've got, who was the other matchup? Oh, it's Seattle, isn't it? Why am I blanking on that? Let me change over to that. Yes, Seattle has Emerson Hancock, who I am not a fan of at all, but Luis Ortiz is going for your Guardians today. I actually like Luis Ortiz, but I would not be opposed to running him out on a main lineup with Cal Raleigh in the other lineup, or with Jorge Polanco on the other side of that. This is not one of those slates where these guys are going to get by unscathed.
It's a 2-game slate also.
Yeah, and then Emerson Hancock, the weakest pitcher, again, 2 median fantasy points away from Middle County. So it's like medians, far different than range of outcomes. It's baseball. Embrace the chaos here. Let's see if we have any questions other than they're questioning our sanity, I'm sure, or mine anyways. Comments. Kelly should deal. Yeah, we'll see. Magic might be decent next year. 4 for Bain seems excessive. Agreed. Oh, that's right. That was the Westbrook trade. That's how he ended up there. Thank you, Dick Togo.
Wait, what?
The KCP. He ended up on the Wizards, so it's part of that Westbrook thing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Nico Harrison fleeced himself. Good takes here. Juan Soto home run. How about a CJ Abrams home run? Who says no? How about a James Wood home run? Who says no? The people playing my cash lineup say. 4 minutes to go. No weather. No question. Gobert trade looks good compared to the Bain deal. I don't know. I actually
feel like Bain's being I don't know. I like Bain. I think he's a nice fit there. Like he's exactly what they need. Especially with Suggs in the backcourt, a guy who's not a great shooter but does everything else. Bain is a great shooter, and I think he's a perfect fit in Orlando. I like it a lot for them. I really do. It's hard to get talent like that. I mean, did they overpay? Probably, but people said the same thing when Indiana traded for Siakam. So like, you just sometimes that's just the move that's there, and presuming it works out for them with Bain, those picks aren't going to mean that much. They're a young team. This isn't a team like Phoenix, given all their picks and they're old. Orlando should be at least relevant for the next while.
Yeah, and I think it's a good one. I mean, KCP is just the consummate does stuff that doesn't show up in the box score guy, but Bain's pretty decent on defense, and he's a plus offensive player.
Yeah, Bain's a dog, and he's great offensively, and that's what they needed. Someone who is great offensively that fits into what they are.
All right, put in your home run calls, chat. Actually, Dirty O has a great question. That was what I was going to ask you too. How much do you think Durant is going to cost now? I don't think a lot, because I don't know how many landing spots there are for him.
Yeah, he won't cost as much as Bain just did.
Yeah, because he has to sign. I mean, he needs to extend, and so he's going to go to a team that if he doesn't want to go to, he may not extend. So they're not going to pay for that for 1 year of him, or he goes somewhere and, are they going to have the money? So they may not want to give as much, or, what does Miami have to give up? Is it worthwhile for him to end up on Miami? Is it the Spurs? Why do they really want to do that? I don't know. It'll be kind of interesting. But is Dominguez starting? Which Dominguez?
Jason, I hope so.
Let's see. He is batting 7th, it looks like. Let me refresh that. As far as I know, he is batting 7th.
Yeah, did he get scratched or something?
Yeah, I gotta go look at Twitter.
Oh, man, we have 1 minute. Why is someone?
Dun, dun, dun. Is he starting?
I don't see anything.
I don't see any news either. Yeah, nothing for the last 15 minutes with his name in it. All righty. Well, that's going to do it for us. Remember to call your dads if you have not. Remember to be nice to your moms. You should probably call them too, because every day is Mother's Day. We wouldn't be here without them. You guys can find Matt on Twitter at FantasyTipsMatt. You can find me at EMACDFS. And of course, it is Stokastic _COM. Hit that like button on the way out, gamers, and good luck.